giving advice. And I was so full of fear of failure and of being exposed and worried about whether my authors would be able to accept my being one of them as well as their advocate. How would I navigate these waters? I knew absolutely that I would have to. It was clear that this character had moved right in and was planning to stay. I was barreling forth, and turning back was not something I could consider. I would not be opting out. I would have to go into my tuck. And I can't say that I stopped and consciously did just that. It was more like Desert Schneider pushed me off the cliff. And I brought my knees up to my chest, and there I was, plunging down, but at least in a tuck. In an instant, my many layers of protection, mostly accumulated from the power of being an agent, flew off. They were gone. I was naked to the world. I was extremely uncomfortable. I didn't know how to be myself or who I was anymore exactly. And the fears were often immobilizing. What if nobody bought my novel? What if it really sucked? What if somebody bought my novel because of my connection to some of the most successful writers on the planet? This is when I groped furiously for my cloak. A pen name, Hallie Durand. Nobody would know, at least for a while, who had written my story. It would be judged on its own merit. If it was published, I would never wonder if it was only being published because of me and my connections. It would be published because somebody fell in love with my story, apart and separate from my being a publishing insider. I'm grateful to this day for that decision. For when the book was acquired, with the publisher having no prior knowledge of whom the author was, I gained just a little bit of confidence. I cast a little vote for myself. I'd never be able to go to that particular dark, paralyzing place of thinking someone had done me a favor when my enemy self reared her head, which of course she did in all kinds of ways. When the first nasty Amazon.com review came in, my enemy self agreed with it and told me to stop writing. When the book didn't sell as well as we hoped it would, my enemy self said it was no good. And even when I received praise, my enemy self plugged my ears, refusing to allow me to take it in. The enemy is as strong as you allow her to be. And when I speak about shedding your perception of yourself and putting your bones in order, about peeling away your pride, your ego, your judgment, I speak from my own experience too. You can't make your way through life trying to meet what you perceive to be other people's expectations of who you are. But the perception enemy is a particularly strong one, and she must be kept down. What if Kate DiCamillo had continued trying to be the Southern writer that she thought people wanted her to be? She would not have written The Tale of Despereaux, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, or The Magician's Elephant. And when I talk about heart, I talk about my own too, the one I found when the layers were ripped off by the force of my plunge. My heart was right there for the world to see. And when I make the point about that your map is your own, with no directions and no guidelines, I talk from the vantage point of being an author and agent on a journey with no destination. A journey that has made me stretch way out of my comfort zone. I wouldn't have it any other way either. In the end, we're only accountable to ourselves. That goes for all of us. You have to make peace with who you are. Don't be too hard on yourself, though, and try to laugh. And remember that bravery in battle requires kindness, too. Kindness to you. And always, always remember that the only way out is through. The only way back to yourself and your stories is through. It was in my sister's novel, Holly McGhee, Julia Jillian and the Art of Knowing, that I read those words. The only way out is through. So I went to the source and asked Allison if she could articulate for me how these words of Julia related to a writer's journey. Here is what she said. In my life, there are times when I've wanted to escape. Doesn't everyone? When I was 24 and the man I loved killed himself, I just wanted to escape. From the grief, from the chaos, from the fact that suddenly I was in a new life that I did not want and never would have chosen. But you can't escape. You can only absorb, or better, enlarge your life. Enlarge the horizons of it, and the sense of what it can hold, and what your heart can hold, so that eventually that experience, no matter what it is, can be held within you, so that you can understand it, recognize it, accept it, and go forward with your life knowing what you do now. In Julia Jillian's case, she was stuck. She couldn't live fully because of her fear of what the book might hold, the grief that she was afraid of. But the fear eventually made her life something drab, and she realized through her wise friend Enzo that the only way out was through. Not something she wanted to do, but something she had to do anyway in order to be fully alive. Thank you, my sister Allison, for such beautiful words. And there will be times on your path when you're stuck, when your lack of direction or your grief or your fear will stop you. And all of us, including David Small, get stuck. And that's when you must remember your bones, and you must remember your heart, and you must remember that you have your cloak to protect you when the elements are more than you can bear. And you must pull all of yourself forward and continue. The only way out is through. When you write, you're never writing from a piece of yourself. You're writing from your whole being. And the wider you can stretch it, the deeper your well. There's no bottom to your well as long as you keep pounding and breaking through the layers. As for your bones, give them a solid place to stand. And show us your heart in all its wide open joy and despair. That's how you'll find us readers. Your voice will be your own when you find your heart. And at some point you'll find your way back to you, but you might not know where you are at first. You'll be back where you began, but it will all be brand new. That's where David Small is now. At another point, you'll be far enough along and sure enough of your footing to look back. This is when you can see how far you've come. That is when you can call for company, beckon people forth. You can tell them to bring themselves, all of themselves, along. Tell them to join you. And never, ever, at any point along the way, forget about the power of art. I had the extraordinary opportunity to work with William Steig, and it was he who said this: art has the power to make any spot on earth the living center of the universe. And unlike science, which often gives us the illusion of understanding things we really do not understand, it helps us to know life in a way that still keeps before us the mystery of things. It enhances the sense of wonder, and wonder is respect for life. Thank you all for coming today. I look forward to seeing you along the road as a fellow writer and literary agent. Until we meet again, be sure to take care of yourself. So long for now.